He looked me in the eye, said, "I forgive you," and held me. But 3 months later, I found out he'd been planning his revenge the whole time. I know how this sounds. I know you're already judging me, and honestly, I get it. I cheated. It wasn't planned. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't some movie script love story. It was a night that never should have happened, and I've replayed it in my mind 1,000 times since. His name was Nate. We worked in the same building. He in IT, me on the legal team. It started with friendly conversations by the elevator, then longer lunches, then a rainy night after drinks when everything blurred and I made the worst decision of my life. The moment it was over, I felt it. This bone-deep sickness in my stomach. Not guilt because I got caught. Guilt because I knew I wouldn't be able to look my boyfriend, Tyler, in the eyes the same way ever again. Tyler and I had been together for 4 years. We shared an apartment, a dog, a Netflix password, and a life that felt safe. Maybe too safe, but he was good. The kind of man who left love notes on the counter, remembered the anniversary of our first date, and made my coffee exactly how I liked it. He didn't deserve what I did to him. That weekend, I told him, sat him down, hands shaking, heart in my throat, and said the words out loud. Not because I wanted to hurt him, but because I knew he'd feel the truth even if I never said it. He didn't shout. He didn't throw anything. He just stared at the floor for a long time, then stood up and walked into the other room. I thought that was it, that we were over. But the next morning, he made coffee, 2 mugs, sat across from me and said, "I'm not going to pretend I'm okay, but I'm not walking away either. People mess up. I just need time." I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. For the next few weeks, he was quieter, but kind, distant, but still home. He didn't bring it up unless I did. He never weaponized it, never threw it in my face. I thought we were healing. I thought somehow we might come out stronger. I didn't realize that behind the silence, behind the gentle smiles and the late-night cuddles, something else was quietly growing. Not forgiveness, not healing, but a plan. A plan I wouldn't find out about until it was already too late. He started working late, just like I had. I should have seen it coming, but the way he did it was colder than I ever imagined. At first, I didn't question it. Tyler was still coming home, still eating dinner with me, still walking our dog, still sleeping in the same bed. But he was quiet, the kind of quiet that isn't sad or angry, just empty. We were going through the motions, and I told myself that was part of the process. I knew I'd broken something that couldn't be glued back overnight. So I tried harder. I showed up more, made his favorite meals, asked real questions, even started therapy. Alone, because he said he wasn't ready. Sometimes he'd look at me in a way that made my stomach turn. Not hate, not love, just studying me, like he was waiting for something. Then, slowly, things started to shift. He got a new password on his phone, started putting it face down, the same way I had, back when I was hiding something. When I asked, he shrugged it off with, "Just being more careful with work stuff." He started going to the gym again, staying out later than usual, showering before bed, and not with me. One Friday night, I asked if he wanted to watch a movie together like we used to. "I already made plans," he said, grabbing his keys. "Told you I've been reconnecting with people." I nodded, even though he hadn't. "Friends?" I asked. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Not like that," and walked out the door. But it was like that. I didn't know who she was at first, or how long it had been going on. But then I noticed the way his mood changed after he came home late, lighter, like he was carrying a secret that made him feel powerful. Then came the cologne, the new shirts, the charger he took with him everywhere, as if he couldn't risk his phone dying. I started checking his location, something I'd never done before. One night, he said he was at Ryan's, but the dot showed him downtown near the Arts District. That's when I knew. Still, I said nothing, not because I was afraid, but because I wanted to understand it. Had he fallen for someone else? Or was this punishment? A week later, I got my answer, loud and clear. I came home early from a work meeting and found a sticky note on the counter, just a short line in his handwriting. "Now we're even." My heart dropped. I walked into the bedroom. His drawers were half empty, one duffel bag gone. No goodbye, no yelling, no dramatic scene. Just that note. He left his key on the dresser, and suddenly it clicked. He never forgave me. He waited until I believed him, waited until I leaned back into love, let my guard down, thought we were fixing what I broke, And then he broke me back. He moved out without warning, left me with the dog, the rent, and the guilt. But it's what he did. After that proved he never intended to let me go quietly. I thought the worst part was over. After I found the note and realized Tyler was gone, I didn't cry. Not at first. I just stood there, holding that little square of paper with 5 words that hit harder than any scream ever could. Now we're even. I sat on the edge of the bed, our dog curled at my feet, and waited for the pain to land. But it didn't. Not in that moment. There was just this numbness, like every part of my body had turned to static. For the first week, I didn't hear from him. No texts, no calls. His social media was quiet. A mutual friend mentioned he was crashing with someone but didn't know details. I didn't press. I was still trying to process what had just happened. He had played the long game. He had worn a mask of forgiveness while planning the perfect exit. And I couldn't even say I didn't deserve some of it. I had betrayed him. I had shattered the trust. But still, something about the precision of it all felt cruel. And then the messages started. Not from him, but from people we knew. Friends, coworkers, even his sister. Little things at first. Hey, I heard about what happened. Rough. You cheated and he stayed? Wow. I don't know how you live with yourself. He told them not just the truth, but his version of it. Polished, packaged, weaponized. In his version, I was a serial cheater. In his version, he tried for months to forgive me, but I was cold, distant, and refused to take responsibility. In his version, I'd emotionally manipulated him. I found out later he'd even told one of his guy friends that I'd cheated more than once. Something he knew wasn't true. It wasn't just about evening the score anymore. It was about erasing me. One night, I confronted him. I sent a message, calm, not angry, just asking him to stop twisting the story. I told him I wasn't denying what I did, but I deserved the truth, not character assassination. He left it on read. That silence said everything. He didn't want balance. He wanted to burn everything behind him so no one could even consider taking my side. That's when it all hit me. I had spent so long blaming myself, and yes, I made a huge mistake. But Tyler wasn't some wounded hero. He was hurt, yes, but he chose revenge over healing. And not just revenge on me, but on my life, my name, my reputation. He didn't just want to walk away. He wanted to make sure no one else would want to stay. He tried to ruin me after forgiving me, but what he didn't expect was that I'd own the truth before he could twist it. After the wave of whispers, cold shoulders, and passive-aggressive group chats, I realized something. I had 2 choices. I could hide, let the shame bury me, and let his version of the story define me, or I could face it. So I started telling the truth, the real truth, not the filtered, polished, self-pity version, the ugly one. Yes, I cheated. Yes, I broke his trust. Yes, I told him. And yes, he said he forgave me. But then, he lied for months while planning how to humiliate me. I didn't do it for sympathy. I wasn't looking for redemption. I just didn't want to live in fear of the story anymore. People were split. Some were cold. Some surprised me with grace. His sister, the same one who texted me, "Wow," in the beginning, she called me one afternoon. "I'm not excusing what you did," she said. But Tyler, he's not who he was pretending to be either. This revenge tour, it's toxic. Apparently, I wasn't the only one he burned. When he moved in with a friend, he told them he'd never forgive a liar. But 2 weeks later, he was hooking up with someone new, someone from his office, and telling her I was emotionally unstable. He didn't just move on. He made me a cautionary tale. But here's the twist he didn't see coming. I grew. I started therapy. Real, hard, vulnerable therapy. I learned that cheating doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from resentment, left to rot, from silence, from self-abandonment, from pretending everything is fine when it isn't. And I'm not proud of what I did. I'll never be. But I won't hate myself for the rest of my life because of one chapter, especially when the next ones are mine to write. Tyler's version of revenge was destruction. Mine was reconstruction. I moved out of our apartment a month later, got a place of my own, focused on work, on real friends, on honesty, even when it's hard. One night, I ran into him, at a bar, of all places. He looked surprised, nervous even. "You look different," he said. "I feel different," I replied. And I meant it. We stood there for a moment in the awkward hum of old tension. Then he asked, "So, we're good?" I looked at him. The man who forgave me just to break me. The man I once thought I might marry. And I said, "We're done. That's not the same thing." I left before he could respond. That was the last time I saw him.